They told me to choose one alien sister to help repopulate, but I chose both instead. The ship's airlock hissed open with a low groan, spilling a breath of alien air into my helmet. My boots sank into the soft, pale sand of Calith's 7 surface. Above me stretched a turquoise sky streaked with 2 suns, one pale white, one deep amber. The mission had sounded simple when Command briefed me. Travel to the surviving enclave of the Calithite species, choose one mate to aid their dwindling population, and return with her to the orbital habitat. But nothing about the Calithite was simple. The twin moons rose on the horizon like silver coins as my escort. An elder Calithite male named Haran led me into a low, crystalline structure half buried in the dunes. Inside, the walls glittered with embedded shards of luminescent stone, casting soft rainbows over everything. The air was warm, heavy with a sweet scent like oranges and cedar. I adjusted my translation implant as Haran spoke. Our people are almost gone, human envoy Jalen. The plague took our men first, and the wars did the rest. Only a few clans remain, and our sisters cannot birth without genetic diversity. You are our only chance. It was the kind of speech I'd heard before in briefing rooms: sacrifice, duty, the noble choice. But the way Haran's slitted amber eyes trembled as he looked at me made it real. I followed him through a corridor into a chamber ringed with hanging curtains of silver mesh. 2 figures stood waiting in the center. Both were tall, at least a head taller than me, with soft, iridescent skin that shifted hues like a pearl when they moved. Each had the delicate, sculpted features of a humanoid, but with elongated ears tipped in downy feathers, and eyes so large and luminous they seemed to drink in every flicker of light. The sisters of the last line, Haran said solemnly. Kelia and Sarah. The one on the left, Kelia, inclined her head. Her skin shimmered in pale blues and greens, her expression calm, almost formal. Sarah, on the right, tilted her head with open curiosity. Her skin glowed faintly pink and violet. Both wore simple woven garments that left their shoulders bare, the fabrics shifting like water. They were beautiful, yes, but not in the way Command had probably imagined when they wrote the mission directive. There was something more, a quiet dignity, a gravity born of extinction. Kelia spoke first, her voice soft but clear through the translator. You are the human chosen? I guess so, I said. They sent me to choose one of you. Sarah took a step closer, her eyes wide. To choose, she echoed, tasting the word. Like selecting a star from a sky? I hesitated. Something like that. The sisters exchanged a glance. I could feel their silent communication, some unspoken bond between them. Haran gestured for me to approach. Time is precious. You must decide. The bluntness made my stomach tighten. Decide? Just like that. Kilia's gaze didn't waver. If you take one of us, the other will stay, and our line may die. If you take none, we both may die. And if I took both? The words were out before I'd fully thought them through. Silence. Even the faint hum of the luminescent stones seemed to pause. Haran's eyes narrowed. That is not the arrangement. But Sarah's face lit up with a tremulous hope. Both, she whispered. We would not be parted. Kilia's composure cracked for just an instant. Her hands tightened around the pendant at her neck. It is forbidden, she murmured. I looked at each of them, the last sisters of a dying species, and felt a surge of anger at the absurdity of it all. Rules written by distant committees, species reduced to quotas and selections. Maybe your rules are outdated, I said. If you want to survive, you need more than old traditions. Haran's feathers flared, a gesture of warning. You risk insult, human. I risk doing the right thing, I countered. I'm not leaving one of them here to die just because command wrote it on a form. Kelia's eyes softened. You would do this? Take both of us. Yes, I said, my voice steadier now. If you'll have me. Syrah's hand found her sister's. We will. Hain looked as if he wanted to protest further, but something in Kelia's calm stare silenced him. At last he stepped back and bowed. Then the choice is made. The journey to the orbital habitat took 3 days. The sisters shared a private cabin, but they spent most of the trip with me, learning my language, my customs, my world. I learned theirs in return. Their songs, their gestures of affection, the way their people had once lived in vast floating cities of crystal and silk. At night, the 3 of us would sit in the observation deck, watching Caliph, 7 shrink into a pale jewel below. Kelia spoke of duty, of the weight she felt as the elder. Syrah spoke of dreams, of seeing new skies. I began to see not just 2 alien women, but 2 distinct souls, 2 people who had lost everything except each other. Sometimes I caught them watching me with unreadable expressions. Sometimes their fingers brushed mine, hesitant but lingering. It wasn't like any relationship I'd ever had. It was a bridge of survival, yes, but also something gentler. Trust growing in the dark soil of shared vulnerability. When we docked with the habitat, command was waiting. The debriefing room was cold and gray, full of uniformed officers who smelled faintly of antiseptic. You were authorized to bring 1 subject, the mission director said flatly, glaring at the 2 sisters standing behind me. Explain yourself, Envoy Jalen. I straightened. I did what was necessary. Their people are extinct except for them. If you want a viable population, you need both. That's not your call. It's exactly my call, I snapped. You set me to make a choice. I chose. I chose life for both of them. The director's mouth tightened. You'll answer for this insubordination. But before he could speak again, Kelia stepped forward. Her feathers rose in a halo around her head, a Kalathai sign of formal declaration. Your envoy has honored us, she said in perfectly accented standard. If you reject us, our species dies. If you accept us, you will be remembered as the saviors of a world. Syrah added softly, we can teach, we can build, we can love, but only together. The room was silent. Finally, one of the medical officers cleared her throat. She's right, she said. From a genetic standpoint, we need both. One isn't enough. The director looked at her, then at me. His jaw worked. Very well, he said at last. You forced our hand, but the responsibility for their integration is yours, envoy. I'll take it, I said. Life aboard the habitat was nothing like life on Caliph 7. The sisters marveled at artificial gravity, at hydroponic gardens, at corridors full of humans who stared back in awe. Some were curious, others resentful, but Kelia and Syrah held their heads high. I helped them acclimate, taught them how to use the replicators, how to navigate the bureaucracies. At night we would retreat to my quarters, a small space but warm, filled with the scent of the alien blossoms they grew in recycled nutrient gel. It wasn't long before the bond between us deepened, not just as protector or liaison, but as something more intimate. With each passing day, Kelia's guarded dignity melted into quiet warmth. Syrah's laughter became a constant in the sterile halls. They began to touch my hand without hesitation, to rest their heads on my shoulder as we watched stars drift past the viewport.